most law schools get rejected by people they admit at a higher rate than they reject applicants. So they're going to say a lot of shit to try to gaslight you when they offer you admission.
Hello and welcome to episode 523 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. I'm Ben Olson. With me is Nathan Fox. We are the co-founders of LSATdemon.com and the LSAT Demon Daily podcast. Today we have a special episode. Applications are already open at many schools and about to open within the next week, and we want to address all your questions about personal statements. We do have a few listener questions, and then we're just going to jump into several contestants for the Gong Show marathon.
Yeah, we got 9 contestants. So depending on how long people keep us reading, we'll maybe get through all 9 in no time at all, or maybe we don't make it through all
Yeah,
of them.
let's hope that some of them are good.
Yeah, we'll see.
Cool. Coming up is Beatrice is going to do a free class. It's going to be a review of test 146. So you do the test beforehand, and then you come to this review session, and Beatrice will answer any questions that you have. That's on September 27th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. You can register at lsatdemon.com/free. Yeah.
Yeah, always very popular offerings, those test reviews. You can come to class and talk to Beatrice about whatever question gave you a hard time. Again, just lsatdemon.com/free.
Great. And then we have all these LSAC law school forums coming up. We're going to be in Miami on September 20th, Atlanta on September 26th, Chicago October 4th, New York October 17th, Los Angeles October 25th, and San Francisco November 15th. If you're close to any of those and you're at all interested in meeting any of the team, come. They are fun. Abigail and Billy will be at all of them. They are just superstars. They make these events super fun. They're also LSAT geniuses. So
Yeah.
any questions about the test, that's an opportunity to talk to people who are very knowledgeable.
Yeah, I think they scored a combined like 350 something on the LSAT. So they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, rotating cast of demon characters there, including Amanda, Jackson, Michael, Sean. So all those forums: Miami on September 20th, Atlanta September 26th, Chicago October 4th, New York October 17th, LA October 25th, and San Francisco on November 15th. You have to register through lsac.org if you want to go to any of those forums. But if you go, please do go say hi to our amazing team of demons, and hey, spin the wheel and win yourself some demon merch.
Right, or a book.
Grab a free
maybe
copy of the LSAT is easy. Yeah. Yeah, go see our folks and make sure that we have the most popular table at the forums. We always do, but you guys can help.
All right, cool. So this first one is coming to us from Elizabeth. The subject is personal statement and not resume recap.
Hi, Nathan and Ben. I've been a big fan of the LSAT Demon podcast as it's been incredibly helpful in my LSAT journey and in thinking about the law school application process overall. I have a question I'd love to hear your thoughts on for the podcast. How does a student balance writing about their distinctive roles and job experience in their personal statement without it becoming a glorified resume? I want to highlight meaningful work experiences, but I also want to make sure I'm telling a story and showing who I am, not just listing accomplishments. Thanks again for all the great advice and insight you share. Best, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I mean, your goal is right. You shouldn't be listing your accomplishments. In fact, what you're doing is you're taking one bullet point on your resume. So you have multiple jobs. Within those jobs, you have multiple bullet points. You're taking one bullet point, and you might even be unpacking that bullet point even more by just going into one event or two events that illustrate that bullet point.
Yeah.
And that's your personal statement. So you're not going to be listing accomplishments. Yeah, you might talk about 2 events. You might talk about 2 different jobs, but that's rare. In most
Yeah.
cases, you're just showing yourself successful at one part of one job.
Yeah, make your resume come to life by telling us, put your best foot forward. I think the worst type of personal statement, I mean, there's a lot of really bad types of personal statements, but the worst type of personal statement is sort of like the reverse resume. I think that your resume properly should have your most impressive achievement at the top,
Hmm.
right? Like, you know how it starts with your most recent job?
Yeah.
Or if you don't have any jobs, your most recent highest degree.
Yeah.
Think about what people do wrongly on their personal statement so often.
Oh, they start when they were 5
They
and how they
reverse
were.
it. They go down to
Yeah.
the bottom of their resume or shit that it's not even on their resume anymore.
It's
And yeah,
not
they start
even on.
telling you stories about how they used to argue about bedtime because when they were 5, or, in a little more realistic thing that people just do all the time. They talk about how they first got interested in their career. And it's
Mhm.
like, bro, you've been in 10 years, you've been doing this career already.
Yeah.
You achieved a lot in this career.
Mhm.
Tell us about the most recent experience, the one where it says like vice president of whatever. Like, let's hear
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
that. What's that
Yeah.
mean to be a senior vice president of whatever? Talk about that. And instead they like to go back to the origin story sort of
Mhm.
thing. So
Mhm.
so definitely don't do that,
Yeah.
because all that shit can just be omitted,
Yep.
right? What's your highest level achievement? What's your highest level job? What's the best accomplishment that you had at that job? Or,
Mhm.
what's the what was the most significant recent impactful educational experience?
Yeah.
Possibly it's a thesis or something that you wrote, or it's I don't know, just you only have 2 pages or a page and a
Yeah.
half, right?
Yeah. It's
So
very
keep it.
short. It's a very
Yeah.
short document, and you want to hit the ground running because you're going to have people who are going to read 2 or 3 sentences in, as we try to do on the Gong Show, and immediately leave. So if
Yeah.
you haven't caught them, it's like movies, right? These days there are so many movies, there are so many shows. It's not uncommon for me to start a movie and 10 minutes in be like, you know what? I'm just not interested in this, and I
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. Well, that's not good storytelling
Yeah.
if it's making you stop, right? It needs to be something that's going to draw you in. So
Mhm.
you want to start with like the dead body,
Yeah.
and then
Or the
then like
chase scene
unpack the
or
mystery
whatever.
from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Like let's get to it, instead
Mhm.
of I applied. People love talking about I applied for a job. And
Oh,
it's like,
jeez.
okay, you got
And
the
then what
job, right? It's
happened?
on your
Yeah.
resume. So let's not, I don't care how you became interested in applying for that job or how it went with the job. Like, how did the applications? Oh, wow. Or like, oh, yeah, then I got an interview. Like, okay, yeah, I
I
know.
started my internship and then I was tasked with the
Exactly. On the
responsibility. Oh,
first day
wow.
of work, I didn't know anything. Yeah, right. We know that. But you're not selling yourself.
Yeah.
I think Elizabeth, do you think it's going to be hard for Elizabeth to figure this out?
No, I think Elizabeth wants to avoid listing accomplishments, and so hopefully she'll just run with what we're saying now.
Pick your best one and
Yep.
talk about that, and maybe one other one, but yeah, don't
Story.
need
It's
to.
a story.
Yeah, exactly. Not a biography of your life.
No.
It's just you've got the resume and the transcript are giving us kind of a biographical, like the data is there. We don't need the data. We need a story, and a story is going to be necessarily like tell us an anecdote about your most recent best achievement.
Yeah. You know, Nate, I want to say vignette, but I'm actually not sure if I even know what that word means.
I think it's right. Yeah, I mean, at least in common usage. I don't know what the definition is, but I would think that that's like a small story,
Yeah.
a photograph, like okay, here's what was happening in this most impressive job or
Moment.
my most
Yeah.
impressive achievement. Here's what that was like.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Next one is from Isaac. Isaac says, "But what if I have time?" Question mark.
Hi, Ben and Nathan. I'm currently taking a gap year to improve my LSAT score before applying next fall. I work a part-time job and live at home in order to dedicate more time to studying. I've tried to incorporate the advice I've heard from the demon not to study for hours on end, and so I've limited it to 2 to 3 hours per day. That leaves me with several hours of free time a day. I know that your advice is usually not to start working on application materials until after my LSAT is on record, but given my free time, is there any harm in starting to work on application materials like my personal statement now?
I don't think so. I think it's fine. I would just put the LSAT studying first. I mean, I'm glad you're not studying 8 hours a day for the LSAT.
Yeah, that's a
So
mistake.
to the extent that you have extra time, I'd rather you're working on your personal statement than playing video games or hanging out at the bar, I suppose. So
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I think that's perfectly fine. The thing is we commonly get people who are like ultra super achievers who are
Mm,
graduating in 3 years. Remember a couple weeks ago we had somebody who
yeah.
was like
Hmm.
graduating in 3 years and doing an intern leadership stuff and this and that and studying for the LSAT and working on applications. And that's where we're like, oh, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Um, we're not saying don't use available time to work on your application materials. We're saying don't ever work on application materials if you should be doing your 1 or 2 hours of high quality LSAT studying instead.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
There's something interesting here, and that is Isaac has a job. Isaac is studying for the LSAT, and it sounds like Isaac is carefully putting the LSAT first because that is the most important
Yep.
factor in your application. So great. As long as you're doing that, what you do after that in your free time is far less important. That said, you are asking, hey, how can I use that time effectively? And I wonder, yeah, I think, look, spend one day in your free time looking at your personal statement, coming up with ideas, drafting things. Because the reality is, if you draft a personal statement now, and then 6 months from now, you have a better job experience that you want to talk about, fine. You throw away that first draft and you write a new draft, but that new draft is going to be better because you already tried to draft that first draft, right? You're going
Yeah.
to start to get better at this process. But if you're asking, hey, what should I be doing with this time when it comes to your law school goals, I would say spend some of that time on LinkedIn learning that platform and connecting with attorneys. Again, this all
Yeah.
comes after the LSAT, but building that network is going to help you decide whether you even want to go to law school and then
Yeah.
help you make better decisions in terms of where you go to law school.
Yeah. There's also, before LinkedIn, there was just talking to people in real life.
Mm.
And I'm still just blown away by the tip from Michael Friedman to just go to your local court.
Yeah, that's
Go to
cool
your
too,
local
because there's something
courthouse.
about the environment. Yeah,
Well, it's full of
yeah,
lawyers. There's just so many lawyers. The
yeah,
lawyers are the boss of the local courthouse because the judges are lawyers. So the lawyers run the
totally.
courthouse. They're
Well,
just that's where lawyers are. That's what if you ask a kindergartner what a lawyer does, they can tell you about lawyers on TV, right? So you
mhm.
go to court, sit around, watch some proceedings, and then just go say, "Hi, what's up? I have a question about the thing I just saw."
Yeah. That's a great
Absolutely.
idea. I think that's more fun than starting on LinkedIn. LinkedIn might be easier because it's right on your computer, but look, just
Numbers game. Like people ignore LinkedIn messages. It's just so hard because people are getting hammered by 50 cold outreach emails a day.
yeah, mhm.
But how many times does someone come up and shake your hand?
Say, "Oh wow, this is really cool experience. Thanks for letting me listen to you make that argument today." That's all you need to say, and they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Who are you?"
I had somebody today who wants to do um, found out that I was in LSAT business and
Mm,
has some work experience doing like 2L, like helping people prepare for big law interviews
okay.
and chatting me up, dropping the kids off for school type of thing.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
And it was just like, yeah, I'm standing around here anyway, and you're coming up talking about something that's relevant to my business.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm going to have 2 seconds, 2 minutes to talk to you.
Yeah.
And who knows what it turns into, you know?
Yeah.
So, Isaac, absolutely. Like, yeah, go hang out at the local court. And then it's funny because if people are like, oh, but I don't want to do that because I don't want to do litigation or whatever, then I
Mm.
just question, like, okay, what do you think lawyers do? Like, what do you what do you think the whole
Well, you
thing is
also have
about?
to, even if you don't do that, yeah, yeah, even if you do transactional law your entire career, you need to understand how these things end badly
Yeah,
when you don't write a
that's
good contract.
basically the whole point of the contract is okay, in case we get sued or in case we have to sue, if somebody doesn't live up to their end of the
Yep.
bargain, we're gonna draft that contract with an eye toward litigation. So
Yeah.
yeah, just go talk to lawyers. That's plus I'd love to know actually what percentage it is, but isn't it like half of lawyers that are just basically prosecution and defense for criminal matters? It's a lot. I mean,
I
that's
don't
a
know,
lot
but I've heard a general divide that it's like half transactional, half on the trial side,
on
litigation.
the trial side, which is,
Mm.
crim, I think, dominates the trial side because
Mm.
nobody wants
Hmm.
to go like business, business litigation. You got both sides there going like, let's not do this
Yeah,
because
this
the
is going
only
to take
winners are going to be the
time.
lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
All
Uh,
right.
what's next?
Yeah, this next one is from Michelle. The subject is running personal statement.
Hello, Demon Team. As the application cycle looms, I have been putting much thought into my personal statement and how I can utilize the advice from the podcast and lessons. While I have worked full time throughout all 4 years of undergrad, the jobs have been far away from the legal field, jobs like retail and landscaping. I have noticed on the Personal Statement Gong Show, upcoming applicants often write about their careers as paralegals or showcase their highlights at analogous organizations, but I do not believe I can tell a touching story about retail or how it may mesh with law. I disagree with that. Well, I disagree with the premise there that the idea is that you want to make it mesh with law.
Yeah, you don't have to.
It
What you
doesn't
have to
need to
make it
mesh with
mesh
law.
with is hard fucking work.
Yeah, like you just
Success.
you can make yourself look like a winner. You can make
Mm-hmm.
yourself look like a people person. You can make yourself look dedicated. There's so many things that would make you a good law student and a good lawyer that you can show from a career working in retail.
Yeah.
Anyway, Riley continues, instead of talking about these jobs, I thought I might be able to take what seems to be an unconventional approach and write about marathon running. I've been a distance runner for quite some time, but ran my first full marathon last year, and I believe the rigorous training and completion showcase discipline and tenacity more than work experience ever could. I could also write a vivid, active perspective story about race day and its momentous highs and terrible lows.
I mean, okay, my reaction to this is it depends on what things you could write about in your work experience. The only reason I say that is that people who can crush it athletically sometimes cannot crush it at all in the office, and vice versa, right? There are people who crush it. Now, it's not to say that these skills don't overlap, and obviously the discipline and hard work that it takes to run a marathon successfully can translate to work. It just depends. Is this the best thing you have to write about? Then go for it. If there's something that you could highlight in work, I don't know. I'd have to see both stories. I'd actually write them both, see how they land.
Or write three,
Yeah.
because you've got retail, which could
Mm-hmm.
be its own
Oh,
special nightmare,
landscaping. Mm-hmm.
and landscaping and marathon. I mean, of those three, there's one that to me is clearly most related to law, which is the retail job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you're interacting with customers, you're dealing with inventory, you've got, it's just much more like typical corporate work environment, probably.
Yeah.
And seems like there's maybe stuff that you could write about there. I could definitely see the landscaping one being powerful though, like going
There's a
out to
lot of
work your ass
regulations.
off. Well,
Yeah.
but not even, you know, like I definitely don't like it. And maybe we'll see because we're about to dive into some of these personal statements, the actual personal statements. But I don't like it when people do a very heavy handed, I'm going to start telling you about the rules and regulations of landscaping law.
No, I agree. Because then it's, hey, look, I'm pretending to be an attorney and I'm not
Yeah,
yet. And I don't actually understand anything about this. But I guess what I'm saying is it's what I'm really trying to say is that every industry touches the law in some way, shape, or form.
totally.
So writing about your familiarity with landscaping, even if that has nothing, even if you just say nothing and
Yep.
don't want to say anything about the regulations, that's okay because hey, you're going to come to law school with an understanding of an industry that has lots of legal issues. So that's a perspective that can
Yeah.
be valuable, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I think all work,
Yeah.
the harder the work is, because I mean, look, Riley wants to write about voluntarily running a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is not as impressive as showing up every day to go mow lawns in the hot sun.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot more respect for, not that I disrespect running a marathon, but let's face it, ultimately that's a leisure activity
Mm-hmm.
where going out and doing landscaping, that's hard ass work that you're doing because you need the money. You've got
Yeah.
a boss who's going to hold you to certain standards. You got to be there on a certain schedule. It's not, like marathon is almost like a luxury thing. Like, oh wow,
Yeah.
you have the time to train for that. Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um, I, I would be willing to wager that marathon runners are on average richer than, uh, everybody else. I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but I bet I'm right because it just indicates that you have time to
The,
go do that sort of shit, right?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, the person washing dishes at the restaurant is not a marathon runner.
Mm-hmm.
They're working 4 jobs because they need the money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I'm more interested in the idea. I would prefer, I think, to hear about the work experiences
Mm-hmm.
and busting your ass doing manual labor. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like your readers are going to have quite a bit of respect for that. So write it a few different ways, Riley, and see which one you think shines.
Yeah.
Ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so this is the Gong Show. We're going to give it a shot. We have 9 contestants here. We have Samuel, Braden, Amanda, Dax, James, Benny, Lily, Brianna, and Jacob.
Okay. The record is 34 lines set by listener Sophia. We're going to read these things until we can't take it anymore, basically.
Okay.
So if there's something there that we think is like, yeah, we can't we can't we can't deal with it, then we stop and we go on to the next contestant.
Okay. Do you want to take this first one?
Yep. Um, it has a title on the top of it, which it shouldn't have a title. It says Beyond the Blueprint. So
Okay.
already I'm kind of like,
Huh?
let's give them benefit of the doubt. Maybe they wrote multiple drafts and they are calling this one Beyond the Blueprint.
But cut it
Something like
before
that.
you submit it. Yep.
Yeah. I took a deep breath of the stale oxygen seeping into my mask. Lying back for a moment's rest, I scraped at the hardened foam caked across my scarred visor. Each stroke of the scraper chipped away another patch. Not enough to be totally clear, but enough to see ahead of me. As I scraped, the blurred shapes above me became attic rafters just 3 feet overhead.
Okay, so this is Samuel, right? Samuel is blowing in insulation in an attic, I think.
My father handed me the thick, heavy hose, and I wriggled forward over the plywood platform until I had the perfect angle at the next section. The spray gun returned to life, spitting hot foam between the rafter beams. Stray flecks rained back down, splattering across my mask as I layered the foam steadily along the roof's underside. Too slow, and the foam would sag and fall. Too fast, and it would go on too thin, forcing me to wait hours before redoing it.
Okay. This is full on narrative. This is a story.
It's a story which can be good, but I'm noticing that it's not double spaced. Samuel has double spaces between the paragraphs.
Yeah.
But not double spaces between the lines.
Mm.
And as it is, this statement is already almost 2 pages long.
Yeah.
So there's no way this fits in a 2-page double spaced format.
Yeah.
I mean, we could almost ring the gong because it's not in the proper format. If it's not 2 pages double spaced, then it's not a law school personal statement.
Also, I don't think this is required, but it is something I would suggest. You're using a sans serif font. In other words, it doesn't
I see
have
that too.
the curly ends, right? And law school is old school. So they're going to use a fucking Times New Roman or Georgia or something like that. And it's going to be 12-point font. And like you said, double spaced.
Yeah. I agree. So the formatting is wrong. It shouldn't have a title. And story wise, I mean, I'm just scanning now because in my mind, I already rang the gong.
Yeah.
It goes on and on and on about this
the attic
construction in the, we're still in the attic. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs later, it's like 7 paragraphs, a full page. At the bottom, we treated our equipment. We emptied the hoses and ran water through them to remove any residual foam that might harden and cause a jam. And I'm like, I'm out. I don't care. I'm not.
Like, what? Where is this going?
Is one day of working.
Yeah.
Don't tell me about one day of working for a full page, especially full page single space. Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
We eventually get to, so I'm going to say we rang the gong after like 2 paragraphs here. I think this is 10 lines maybe for Samuel, and we're going to move on quickly here, but we don't get to until it's like halfway through the 2nd page. We get, this day is not unrepresentative of how I grew up. The men in my family have built custom homes by trade for 3 generations, blah, blah, blah. Dude, start with that and tell me about the grown-up version of this.
Yeah.
Like, are you actually part of these? Are you part of the business, or did you just work in the business when you were a kid? Because you just working in the business when you were a kid, like, there's no like, all we're getting is like a snapshot of just this one day.
Yeah.
As a child.
We said earlier on the show that you do want to zoom in onto something that you kicked ass at, but this is zoomed in too far. And so now it's sort of, well, you can't see the big picture at all. Even here, though, you said you should start here. The 4th sentence in, my father had obtained a master's degree in graphic design. We don't care about your father. This isn't about your father. It's about you.
Where even is that?
In that paragraph. My father.
Oh, no,
yeah.
I to be clear, I did not say that this is where we should start.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying we never even get to any broader perspective until that part. Until that point.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, we don't need to hear about your father's master's degree ever. Especially because it's a fail. This is a fail story. The recession of 2008 hindered his career growth, forcing him back into construction. How does that possibly help your case?
Yeah. Don't talk negatively about your father here. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Try again, Samuel. Thank you for playing. Next one up is Braden.
Okay.
Notice right away the formatting here is good, right? We have 2 pages, double spaced. We have a serif font, Times New Roman is fine. Mm-hmm. It has Braden, last name, personal statement, LSAC number in the top header. This looks like
exactly as required. Statement. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Good. So Braden starts, imposter syndrome crept in as I pitched the workout to the yacht club.
And yacht club is
The 20
italicized? What is yacht club?
Yeah, I don't know. Some named entity, some org.
Okay. Oh, wait, I
The
get it. It's anonymized. That's anonymized, and I don't think that Braden will leave it like that. I don't
just
think.
like Braden did with last name. Yeah, last name is
Yes.
italicized. Okay.
Yes. It's just because we don't want to put it on
So
blast on the
some yacht
podcast.
club.
That's fine. Yes. Some yacht club. Got it. Okay. I understand.
Sure. Okay. Okay, got it.
I hate that you're starting with imposter syndrome.
Crept in.
I don't.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Just don't
I hate
even.
it. Everybody
don't
has
even
imposter
bring it up,
syndrome.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And notice this is, I don't know if this is passive, but the subject is imposter syndrome as opposed to you, right?
Imposter syndrome is creeping in. Yeah, exactly.
Crept in as I pitched the workout. Just start with, I pitched the workout to the yacht club. The 20 expressionless faces staring back at me seemed to be testing everything I had left behind.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know what you mean. Yeah, not enough context. Months earlier, I was directing group fitness for a large boutique gym in Georgia where I'd coached hundreds of classes. But I walked away from that stability, moving to Florida with my wife to launch my own personal training business from scratch.
That's the most impressive thing you've said so far. I don't know why you're not just starting with that instead of your imposter syndrome. Everybody thinks there has to be this arc, but we got limited time. You know that the typical reader is reading this in a flash, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the first impression just matters so much. Launching your own business is very impressive. I don't know why you don't just start with that.
Yeah. I moved to Florida to launch my own personal training business.
Oh, absolutely.
Shit. Fuck. And
you could also kill from scratch, by the way.
Yeah.
I moved to Florida to start to launch my own personal training business. Period. Great. What happened after that?
Yeah. You know, what's interesting here is that usually we want to leave out immediate family members, but I do like you mentioning that you moved to Florida with your wife. It immediately says you're married. It explains the next sentence, which talks about your child. So there is a level of maturity that just is immediately imposed on you.
I agree.
And I wouldn't say more about it. I would just leave it at that, but
right.
it is valuable. Then came our first child, and with her, heightened pressure to make this new life work. What began as ambition had become survival, and landing the contract to lead group fitness at the yacht club only amplified the stakes. Okay, so
I wouldn't have told the story that way, right?
Yeah, same.
I don't think that image of you shitting yourself in the first class is the thing you want to lead with. Why not just tell it in a more straightforward manner? You moved with your wife, you had a kid, you really needed to make this work. You got this awesome, you got this opportunity to teach this group class at the yacht club, and you killed it, right? You killed it.
That's all we need to know. We don't need to know that it was life or death for you. I think most people recognize that starting your own business is challenging.
Like 95% of people would never start their own business.
Yeah.
Even people who obviously should, like lawyers, I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
It's just so obvious that you should be starting your own firm instead of working for someone else.
Yeah.
But you don't, because you think there's safety and security in having a salary. So yeah, it's like we get it. We know that the stakes are high, and really starting with the imposter syndrome doesn't do what you think it does.
Yep. Okay, so Braden continues, this wasn't just another workout, semicolon. It was my chance to prove that I hadn't made a mistake. You're way, way too focused on your insecurities, your fears. Just say what you did. You started a business. And presumably, I'm assuming this business ended up being successful. That is a winning personal statement. Do you want to say anything? Okay.
I'm not going to ring the. I'm not going to ring. I kind of want to know how it's going to go from here, but the next
Yeah.
paragraph disappoints me.
Uh-oh. Paragraph 2. Dumbbells and bands dotted the regal blue carpet, transforming the ballroom into a makeshift gym. What? My voice trembled through the warm-up, but as we segued into strength circuits, muscle memory kicked in. I felt myself easing back into a familiar rhythm of building group energy, giving thoughtful cues, and socializing with clients. By the end of class, I hadn't just led a great workout and quieted the self-doubt that had lingered since leaving Georgia. I had also made a connection that would alter the course of my life. If you're overselling, you're not gonna like what altered the course of your life. You talk about self-doubt. You're taking a spotlight and you're shining it on your insecurities
Yep.
and your concerns, not on your wins. Hey, congrats. I'm sure you had these fears. That's normal. I'm not shitting on that, but there's no reason to amplify them.
I would instead say you moved to Florida to start this business. It was maybe tough at first, but you got this yacht club gig. It went well at the yacht club. Your classes grew. You got
Mm-hmm.
more contracts. You got more clients. I liked the subtle sneaking it in there of building group energy, giving thoughtful cues, socializing with clients. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you're saying what you did, but that stuff could translate to leading people in a law school or law firm context. And so I dug that part of it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I just would omit completely the imposter syndrome and the self-doubt. And I also, I hadn't just led a great workout. Okay, because now you're telling me.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
already showed me. When you show me, I believe you. When you tell me, I just immediately become skeptical. So I would cut the adjectives and adverbs. I would cut the regal blue carpet because who cares? And I would just focus on like, okay, you built up your business. That's great. How big did you build up your business to? And then now they're going to attempt a transition. I'll be interested to see what you think of it.
Yeah, make a connection that would alter the course of my life, and you're about to meet somebody. This is interesting. Is this personal statement about you or them? After
Right.
class, a member approached me about private training for her and her husband. We started the following week, and that's when I met client. Name
The
has been
husband, I guess.
redacted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Initially, our conversations were casual and gym friendly, but each week they stretched from books to current events to case law. Case law? Maybe my interest was just a side effect of rapport, but I found myself increasingly curious about the world they came from. When Okay, it feels like where this is going is I met somebody who's in the law, and this is why I'm interested in going to law school. It's an origin story that we don't care about the origin story. When I learned that client was a senior federal judge and his wife was also a retired administrative law judge, I admittedly had to Google what that meant. Well, everyone would. Until then, my understanding of law barely extended beyond headlines and courtroom dramas, but I was captivated by how they detailed their work, and I left those
I
sessions with ideas that demanded further exploration.
I'm ringing the gong there. I just think there's a better way you could do all this. I mean, scanning ahead, it goes into I started listening to a bunch of podcasts about the law, and that's fine. Like you are, I guess, demonstrating. That's the funny thing, though, right? Like, oh, you're demonstrating that you're interested in law school. Yeah, I know. I'm reading your application to law school.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why you need to sell that to me. I know you want to go to law school. My question is, are you going to be good at it? And so to the extent that this is just going into like how much you want it, I don't know. Isn't there better things you could talk about instead of like all the things the client did and all these podcasts that other people created? Like what did you do?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ring the gong there at the end of the first page. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, I'm going to call it like 20 lines.
This also ends with some, I don't know, philosophy on what jurisprudence does. Definitely don't want to do that.
Telling, not showing.
Yeah.
Right? I am ready to bring the same curiosity and discipline that defined my career in fitness to the practice of law. But you haven't really convinced me that you brought this curiosity and discipline to your career in fitness because you didn't actually tell me that much about your career in fitness.
No, you had this business that you apparently launched, and apparently it was successful, but it just immediately shifted to this special client.
You know, I see another thing here that I really hate.
Yeah.
I tried to recapture that challenge through entrepreneurship, but it didn't offer the intellectual stimulation I craved.
Whoa.
So you're trying to tell me that you're this like successful entrepreneur, but you're also shitting on entrepreneurship, telling me that it doesn't provide intellectual stimulation.
Entrepreneurship is challenging because it touches on you have to wear so many hats. It demands a lot of skills, and you could highlight these skills. Instead, like you said, you're shitting on it.
People like to dunk on their own experiences, you know? So now we have, if you add it all up, right? Um, you've got the imposter syndrome up front. You've got some anxiety, some nervousness. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where after graduation, coaching felt like the next natural step, but my passion waned.
Yeah.
Well, then don't tell me about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like pick something that you're passionate about, not something that you did that you didn't want to continue.
I think people believe.
Like,
go ahead.
If you just show me your successful business, and now I want to go to law school. Okay, fine, great. This is a successful entrepreneur, a happy, successful entrepreneur who wants to go to law school. Fantastic. I don't need you to tell me that entrepreneurship didn't give you the intellectual stimulation that you craved or that your passion for it waned. You know, I understand that you're shifting gears, but you're making your own resume look worse by telling me that you didn't like it.
Yeah. I think people believe that to shift into law, their previous experience had to be bad. But there is absolutely nothing wrong. And in fact, it's very good for your previous experience to be great. And now you just want to do something else potentially better.
They want winners.
You can go from great to great. You don't have to go from bad, I hated it, therefore now what? Like that's a weird, that'd be like dating someone because you didn't like your previous partner. What?
Oh, exactly. No, well, perfect. How do you think that's going to go on a first date?
I'm here because I didn't like who I was with before. Therefore, I like you. What?
I don't think that's the way you want to go. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been in the dating world, but I don't think that's really.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one up is from Amanda. And by the way, thank you for playing, Braden. Hopefully that was helpful. Next one up is from Amanda. Ben, noticing already, again, the sans serif font.
Mm-hmm.
It does look like it is no more than 2 pages and double spaced, but yeah, the sans serif just doesn't look like a professional document.
One other thing here too is although you do double spaced, which is good, you have extra space between paragraphs, which is good, but it's not a lot for someone who doesn't indent their paragraphs. Again, I don't care. I like one or the other, but old school is to indent, and given how little space you have between paragraphs, you should indent here. Otherwise, the paragraphs bleed together.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. I didn't expect a compensation planning meeting to spark my desire to go to law school. This is another origin story. I'm going to tell you why I want to go to law school.
Well, it's also like presented in the negative. You know, it's like we used to yell years ago, right? When we did a lot more personal statement stuff on the show.
Yeah.
We used to yell about like don't talk about mental states.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is this a mental state, but it's a misconception.
Yeah.
Like you're telling me in the very first sentence, you're telling me that you thought wrong.
Yeah.
And I guess it's, you know, a mark of humility to be able to admit your mistakes. But still, why do people think they need to do this instead of just telling me like what happened? You could just be so much more straightforward. But
Yeah.
okay, so you're in a compensation planning meeting.
Okay. Amanda continues, but buried in a spreadsheet of quarterly ratings and pay data, I noticed a pattern. Colon. Employees returning from a leave of absence, such as parental or medical leave, were receiving lower, if not zero, performance-based increases. Oh, this sounds like
Plight of the
we're
downtrodden.
yeah, there's some
It's an injustice in the
injustice.
world
Yeah.
that who are we on? Amanda. Amanda's going to go fix this injustice in the world.
Hmm.
There's just far more people who want to fix these injustices than there are people willing to pay you to fix injustices. So I think you would be better served by just showing yourself as a success in whatever it is you do instead of complaining about these problems in the world.
Yeah. Amanda continues, for many, this is the only opportunity for a raise all year. Okay, is this about you or them? And the reductions weren't because of how they performed, but because our system averaged in quarters when they weren't working.
Not sure I even understand that point, but I get it. They were gone because of a leave of absence like parental or medical leave, and now they're not going to get performance based increases. No
Okay.
shit, but okay.
Next sentence, it was subtle, it was systematic, and it reduced
Systemic, but yeah.
systemic. It was subtle, it was systemic, and it reduced protected absence to a performance flaw.
So mad that
Okay.
the employment laws are not being followed.
Okay. Next paragraph, she continues, I flagged the issue to leadership, but the initial response was dismissive. The numbers seemed
Uh,
too minor, sorry. Yeah.
I can't. I don't think so.
The gong has been rung.
I think
Yeah.
so. I mean, unless, you can overrule. Do you want to overrule and keep going? It's just
Um,
like, why are you making yourself look like a problem?
yeah.
You,
I do want to, okay. So
go ahead.
in terms of style, I will give Amanda credit for varying sentences. She has
I agree.
super short sentences, which are rare. People are not good at those. You are inconsistent in your M dash use. In one case, you use it without spaces. In another case, you use it with spaces. So get that shit together.
Yeah, that's the difference in the first and
I
second
love,
paragraphs. Yeah.
yep. She starts a sentence with and. Journalists do this all the time. A lot of people avoid it because they're worried about it. It's a light, great style. You also have a sentence that starts with still. It's a light style that's nice. But yeah, content wise is tough. I am kind of curious. Let's read the rest of this or second paragraph and just
Okay.
see what she does. Um The numbers seemed too minor to warrant a policy change, and the board had already approved the cost to the company, using data that overlooked the broader impact. Still, I pressed forward. By partnering with my in house legal team, I helped trace the long term consequences and build a plan to correct them. It was a turning point for me, not only because we fixed the issue, but also, by the way, if you're going to say not only, you need but also, because I saw what it meant to stand between people and systems, comma, between intention and impact. Okay.
All right. Hey, at least
Um,
so it I could, I guess, unring the gong because it did turn into a win here,
mm-hmm.
and I like that part of it.
Yeah.
I just I wasn't sure, like I don't know who Amanda is. So
Mm.
if I read it before looking at her resume, I think Amanda could be like 21 years old.
Yeah. This
In which
next
case,
paragraph, yeah, changes
right.
that,
So
right?
the very next line, go ahead.
Says, as a senior human resources business partner, I've spent years translating between teams and decision makers, managing sensitive situations, and advocating for equity inside complex organizations. If you started with this, we would see you as a much someone who has the authority and the responsibility to engage like this instead of someone who is just creating problems. So, yeah, this does change the tone of the whole story. It changes the the expectation for what Amanda should be doing in this situation. As a
Totally.
senior human resources business partner, I would expect you to raise concerns as
Ye-
opposed to someone who is new, unfamiliar with the business
right.
practices, and complaining about something they don't understand at all.
Right. I would like to apologize to Amanda uh, because the majority of people don't have like high level experiences. And I didn't, you're not telling me that at the top of the document. So again, if this is my first take on you, I
Mm-hmm.
probably already looked at your LSAT and GPA,
Mm-hmm.
but I might not know anything else about you, Amanda. And
Yeah.
I just want to, I think you should probably move that line up just so that we know before you tell us that you're flagging this issue to leadership and getting dismissed and then continuing to press. That's
Yeah.
not the look you're going for when you're like talking to administrators of law schools, right? They want people who are
Mm-hmm.
going to get along, people who are going to be successful, who are going to have wins. And you end up telling us a story of a win here, which is great. But it just looked like, and because we get lots of them, right? Where people are telling us
Yeah.
stories about fighting with the administration of their school.
Yeah.
And that
Or
looks
their
really
business. It
bad.
doesn't matter. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we could probably keep going, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Um, my job has taught me to ask careful questions, look for the quiet patterns, and speak up when something feels off. But I've also learned that influence has limits. There are moments when doing the right thing requires more than persuasion. It requires legal authority. I'm applying to law school to build on what I've started. I've seen firsthand how policy and law shape people's lives in the workplace, and beyond, and how even well-intentioned systems can fail those who are they're meant to protect. I want to develop the legal training to identify those gaps, interpret evolving regulations, and help create solutions that balance principle with practicality. I also recognize that law school will expose me to areas I've yet to consider, and I'm eager to approach that learning with with curiosity and a critical eye for impact. My HR career has given me a solid foundation. I've guided teams through restructures, led employee relations investigations, and designed policy frameworks that support both fairness and operational needs.
I would
Okay,
like
so all of
Amanda to
this is what we
consider,
were worried.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, why not put this stuff higher in the statement? Because we
Yeah,
don't
and
know
then
who
tell the
you
story.
are. At, I mean, also consider just maybe, yeah, I guess the anecdote's not bad. I guess I could keep the anecdote, but when you've guided teams through restructures,
Yeah.
investigated employees or employee relations investigations, written policy apparently for your company. I'd like to know
Mm-hmm.
how big these companies are, how many people were in your, like purview.
Yeah. How many people
Um,
did you lead? Mm-hmm.
I might like to know how many years you've been doing this. Now, those are probably bullets that are on your resume, and I could probably get that. But to make that anecdote that you have right now at the top of the statement, sing, I think I'd like to hear more about that stuff earlier in the statement.
My other question is there another story that's even bigger than that? I mean, sounds like a great thing to have helped with, but is there something else? Like, you've done so much. I think what you need is you need a paragraph to provide us context, who you are and what sort of authority do you have. Then tell a story, then come back to this. Your writing is superb, by the way. Very few mistakes, short sentences, easy to follow. There are some abstractions, but overall very good. I'll continue. I've helped leadership build more equitable and consistent systems for how people are developed, assessed, and supported. While much of my work has centered on structure and strategy, I've also carried a deeper responsibility of walking with employees through some of the hardest moments in their careers and lives. These experiences have sharpened my understanding of the balance between risk, accountability, and humanity.
Is that phrase wrong? That something sticks out to me there. Uh, I've also carried a deeper responsibility of walking with employees. Something about that of.
I've also carried the
I've also
deep.
carried, the deeper
It's also
responsibility.
just,
It's just kind of weird.
it's a little bit selling. I would just say
Yeah.
I've also walked with
Oh,
employees
absolutely.
through some of the
That's
hardest
what it is.
moments in their
Yeah,
careers and
just
lives.
kill deeper
You're like
responsibility.
almost overselling it. Yeah.
Totally.
Yep. Okay. Second to last paragraph, but they've also made something clear. Wait, they.
These experiences was the subject of the
Previous
last sentence,
subject.
and now we're going to continue on with these experiences. First they were sharpening her understanding, now they're making something clear, which is the same thing as sharpening understanding, probably. Maybe we ring the gong there because we
Yeah.
do need to keep it
Cut.
moving. So let's cut
Yeah.
it there. I'll count the lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's call it 32 lines.
Okay. I'm going to say one more thing before we move
Yep.
on. You have a lot of these triple lists like risk, accountability, and humanity, policy, people, and accountability. Those developed, assessed, and supported.
Yeah.
What it means is you're taking a lot of things that you've done or that were done and packed them into one sentence. That's fine because you've done a lot of stuff, but repeatedly doing that just says to me, okay, there's too many sentences in here that are too high level. You're not digging into what
Right.
actually was developed or assessed or supported. Each one of those could branch into multiple sub stories, right? So stop, I don't know, just essentially summarizing, and cut this down. This last
Yeah.
part needs to be cut way down.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Amanda. I'm sorry for ringing the gong too hastily on you there. Glad we got to read a little bit more.
Great. This next one is from Dax.
Looks like good formatting. What do you think about the sans serif font in the header? Personal statement,
Yeah.
LSAC number, and a name. So I mean, that is kind of how the documents probably might look when the
Yeah, I
readers
don't
get them.
hate it. It can separate the
Right.
content from
Because
the header.
I didn't
Hmm.
finish my statement.
Oh, sorry.
It's sans serif in the header, and then it's serif font. The body of it is like Times New Roman. So just an interesting thing. Double spaced
Yep.
with indents for paragraphs. I think
Hmm.
that's way better than
Yeah.
no indents and like 2.5 spaces in between paragraphs. I think this is way better to just
Mm-hmm.
indent your paragraphs. The sun hadn't risen when I slipped from my sleeping bag into the cold embrace of the sand.
That's way too artsy.
A little artistic.
Yeah. What are you getting?
Also,
You going into quicksand or something?
cold embrace is just so weird, right? Like I think people talk about the cold embrace of the grave or something. But otherwise, why does it have to be an embrace? Like you're getting out of your sleeping bag in the dark.
Yeah.
Normally, when you get out of your sleeping bag in the dark,
You
it's going to
stand
be
up.
cold outside. So,
Yeah.
well, also, yeah. So I don't know how it's a cold embrace. It's just the cold embrace is a little flowery there for me. Okay.
Yep.
The air bit at my face, but the briefing had been clear. Colon. Move at first light. I checked my rifle, cinched my gear, and swept the terrain with my eyes. As a newly promoted sergeant leading an infantry squad, hesitation was a luxury I could not afford. Every decision, whether to advance, to hold, or to redirect, carried consequences measured in lives, not just missed opportunities. That's the first paragraph.
Okay, I'm interested. I would just make this a little more direct, and it's mainly your first sentence and the beginning of your second.
Yep.
Everything
Otherwise,
else is pretty good.
I love it because it's a leadership. It's leading
Yep.
in a pretty dramatic context. You know, not a lot of people have been bossing people around the desert with a gun in their hand.
Totally.
Okay. In the army, clarity under pressure is survival. I learned to act on incomplete.
Sorry.
Yep.
I love the short sentence. Nice.
Great. I agree. Yep.
Keep it
A
up.
mix
Yeah.
of short and long is great. I learned to act on incomplete information, prepare until failure was impossible, and lead when exhaustion and uncertainty pressed in from all sides. Exhaustion and uncertainty. Those are pressing in from all sides. Do we need twos there in that list? So this is funny because you just complimented Dax for the short first sentence. Then the next sentence is really long.
That's got doubles, right?
Well,
Inside
yeah,
of a
but
triple.
I learned to act on incomplete information, comma, should it be to prepare until failure was impossible?
You can drop the two there as long as you do it consistently. So then the
Okay.
parallelism is between act, prepare, and lead. But yeah.
Okay, got it. All right. So act, prepare, and lead
Yep.
when exhaustion and uncertainty pressed in from all sides. I would figure out something else besides pressed in from all sides.
Or just say, and lead with exhaust.
Well,
When,
the first thing
yeah.
in the list is acting on incomplete information.
Yeah, that's uncertainty. Yep.
So the third thing on the list shouldn't also include uncertainty.
And just say
Okay.
lead when exhausted.
Yeah, lead under exhaustion. Lead, yeah, exactly. Okay, something better than what you got.
Yep.
Earning the expert infantryman badge, completing deployment, and achieving the rank of sergeant in record time affirmed what I had come to believe, colon, discipline, precision, and trust can carry you through any environment.
Okay, I think you need to cut this entire second paragraph. It's all
Yeah.
telling. You started strong by having you come out of a tent leading a crew. What happened next? What did you fucking do that day? Let's hear about that.
Yeah,
Or
and
what do you
just scanning, it doesn't go back to that.
Oh.
That's like a big tease. It's like, I'm going to tell you this story in the desert. You know, we had the order to move at first light, and you got the guys up and you rallied them, and you're going. But you then give us this, like, the second paragraph, you're going backward in time because you're earning your expert infantryman badge. But I thought you were leading a crew through the desert. Completing deployment, that's like the first thing you do, right? Like you enlist or whatever, and then you like do training and stuff, and then you get deployed. Yeah, I know. Well, I thought you were already
also
a sergeant.
Look at this. It's a triple in the beginning of the sentence. Like, just piling a bunch of stuff all together in one.
Yeah,
And
all
what did
three of
it do?
those
It taught
things
you a belief.
affirmed what you had come to believe, and then another triple: discipline, precision, and trust can carry you through any environment. But I thought we were going to, yeah, I agree. Cut that paragraph. It's totally just telling you. I thought we were going to hear a story that was going to show you doing leadership. And instead, you're just sort of like regaling us.
Mm-hmm.
The same discipline anchored me when I traded combat weapons for textbooks at Kennesaw State University. I earned a 4.0 GPA and joined the honors cohort. Ben's shaking his head. But my ambition
Why?
pushed me further, leading me to transfer to the Georgia Institute of Technology. At Georgia Tech, I graduated summa cum laude in business administration and served, okay, but that's all on your resume, and served as an assistant football coach on the defensive side of the ball. Ben's tired. I think he's maybe
Yeah.
done. I don't know.
But this is you're falling into the trap of just like, okay, now you're going to take your resume and you're going to put it in sentence form. We don't need that. You're wasting words. You're wasting an opportunity to unpack the most important bullet point, or one of the most important bullet points in your resume, whatever that is.
Yeah. I would pick one of these, Coaching at Georgia Tech and later serving as a defensive analyst and outside linebackers coach at Georgia State University taught me that football was about more than strategy. It was about advocacy, learning each player's aspirations, identifying the obstacles in their way, and designing strategies to push them beyond those limits. That's really vague, and it's awful
It's telling.
highfalutin as well.
It's telling. Okay.
Yeah.
Just tell me a story from when you were coaching. Tell me a story from when you were leading an infantry. Um, mm,
Oh, wow.
Before the army, the degree or the coaching career, I lived in the cab of a 1987 Victory Red Chevrolet S10. Okay.
Yeah, my full ride scholarship to play football at Shorter University had crumbled under the weight of injuries, lack of support, and financial instability. With no family to turn to, I slept in parking lots, rationed gas, and counted each mile, blah, blah. It, it's a revert. We're going in.
Going
This
backwards.
is, well, it is like kind of rehashing a resume, right?
Yeah.
Because here now you are going from the most, like your highest level, sergeant commanding people, backward through your whole resume, all the way back down to being homeless. Um, I'm not saying don't include that, although, you're going to have the opportunity to write lived experience statement unless that's now getting integrated into the personal statement.
How is this a winning? How does that help you though? Oh,
Well,
I was
overcoming it.
homeless. Yeah,
Yeah.
but even then, like, how much do you want to dwell on it? And then it's like, how'd you get in? You raising all these questions. How'd you get into that position?
Yeah.
You have so many things that you were a coach. You were the leader in the army. I don't know. I would just stick with one of those. Show yourself being a badass in one or both of those situations, and then say you're now interested in law school. We have lots of triplets. Boy, you love them. Law, ethics, and public service.
Too many colons as well. Just scanning
Yeah.
down, there's more colons to come.
Yeah.
And like I think there's at least like 4 colons in this, and yeah, it just starts to read like ChatGPT, where it's like
Yeah.
too many M dashes and it's sort of a tell.
Mm.
So I think we could probably wrap it up there.
Yep. Thanks for trying, Dax. I hope that was helpful.
I would suggest sticking to the winning and, talk about your badass football coaching, maybe talk about your successes in the armed forces. I don't think you need to rehash the 4.0 and the honors and the summa cum laude and all that because it's on your transcripts and your resume. So I would talk about the leadership experiences, and then the homelessness stuff. I think absolutely there's a place for that in schools are going to call them different things these days, but there's
Yeah.
probably an opportunity to, if someone asks you, hey, how could you show that you have different perspectives? That's a pretty good way. I think that's the kind of thing they're
Yeah.
looking for when they ask that question.
It has to be approached carefully, though. You're focusing on the homelessness for a little bit, maybe, and then
Well,
how
I
you
just
got
mean
out of it.
in an entirely different essay, like what we
I
used to call
understand. I still think
diversity
it
statement.
raises the same questions, though, which is like, okay, how'd you get into that situation? And
Yeah, but if you've got enough recent winning, like if you're emphasizing you kicking ass at something on your personal
yeah,
statement, then
yeah.
I think I would respect you all the more if you yeah, but I agree with you that it can't just be like a plea for sympathy. It has to
Mm,
be, no, I'm a killer, and you want to know how much of a killer I am? Look at where I came from.
yeah.
But the killer part has to be there. Okay.
Yeah. I want to say one last thing. The last sentence says, "My next mission is clear, to bring the same resolve that carried me through those moments into the practice of law, and to open doors for those who, like I once did, have no one else to stand beside them." Um, I don't know. I read that and I immediately thought, okay, so you want to help homeless people. There is no money in
Yeah.
that. So I think law schools will say, oh, that's so great. Please come and let's help you do that. But in reality, they're thinking to themselves, that's not practical. You're not going to make money doing that. We want you to come here and work for big law. So it's just not going to land the way you think it's going to land. That's all.
Yeah. Not to say that they don't want people who, genuinely want to do good, but it's
Yeah.
really not what their business is. Their business, the reason why they're successful, to the extent that they're successful, is that they can turn people into like high powered money gathering attorneys, which is
Yep.
largely in big law.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Dax. Next one is James.
Yep. James
And
right.
apparently we've got
Yeah.
X's here that these are turned into X's to anonymize it for the show.
Okay. So instead of X, I'll say some. So like some city, some state, whatever.
Okay.
Um, this is James, anonymized, says, I led a get out the vote effort during the 2024 municipal elections that contributed significantly to generating the largest voter turnout among young adults in the history of some city.
Okay. Sounds like a win.
It does sound like a win. Immediately I'm thinking, okay, you led a get out the vote effort, but really how much of an impact did you have on generating the largest? There's something about me that's just like skeptical.
Yeah. Did you initiate this? Did you create it? Did you, yeah, led is kind of vague.
Mm-hmm.
Also, contributed significantly to in
Mm-hmm.
this context means
Mm-hmm.
you're not taking 100% credit for it.
Yeah.
So the contributed significantly to here is like this acknowledgement that it wasn't just you, it was other people as well, which makes me think maybe you just cut it. I mean, you could say helped instead of contributed significantly too.
Yeah. Well, helped is not overselling, which then makes the reader want to give you more credit than you're claiming. But when you try to grab a lot of credit, you're going to get resistance internally.
And that's what contributed significantly to does, right? It's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm acknowledging it wasn't just me, but I made significant contribution.
It's like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
How about
Uh-huh.
just like big forces that have nothing to do with you?
Right.
Anyways, you continue, or James continues. I knew that replacing the city's entrenched and ineffective administration was imperative for my hometown, one of some state, one of some state's most impoverished cities. Everybody thinks the other team needs to be replaced and that it's
Well,
absolutely critical and necessary that this take place immediately.
the entrenched and ineffective administration, first of all, they're probably all lawyers. Second, they're bankrolled by businesses.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like being mad about the people that are at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
I love you telling me what you actually did, but you complaining about how bad the bums were and how bad like they've got to go. I don't know. I mean, what are law schools besides
Everybody thinks
entrenched
that.
and ineffective administration?
Yeah, that is true. That's why you have to pay thousands of dollars to go get a relatively simple education.
Yeah.
Okay, James continues. I worked tirelessly to secure this historic turnout, establishing a grassroots campaign built on personal outreach and social media targeted at young adults. In addition, that's a heavy opener, by the way, I leveraged my work experience as an event coordinator to conduct analytical research that organized processes to help people vote.
Wait, what?
Vague and leveraged. Come on, just say what you did. Not you didn't leverage your work experience. You could just say as an event coordinator, even then I don't know. I would just say what you did.
How does research organize a process?
I don't know.
So yeah, James, I leveraged my work experience to conduct research that organized processes.
You organize the processes based on your research, presumably.
Close to the gong here because that's so vague. I mean, it started with a win, which I like. I think the writing could be improved. Just tighten it up, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I be less vague and tighten it up. But I like it that you're, okay, you did a thing and it looks like winning, but then now it's this kind of vague telling. Let's see
Yeah.
if we can turn it around here.
Here, well, let me read this story so we can at least analyze the story. It gets a
Okay.
little more concrete with this. At the beginning of my campaign, I analyzed raw data on some cities' residents, the city or my city's residents, including their location, age, marital status, and income levels.
So
Noticing
cut
a
the previous then.
yeah,
Like you just referenced, you conducted analytical research. Then in the next sentence, I analyzed data.
yep, literally the same verb.
Right.
Noticing a trend of unregistered voters in low income neighborhoods. Oh, you noticed that trend? I went to these neighborhoods and hung flyers on every front door that gave instructions on where and how to register to vote, along with my contact information if they needed assistance. Okay, you started this essay saying you led a get out the vote effort. Now I see you as a lone wolf going door to door. That might not be accurate, but that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you're running a one-man show.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, my contact information. So you're just right. It's a one. Yeah, lone wolf is a good way of putting it. I know, small thing, but I went to these neighborhoods and hung flyers on every front door that gave instructions.
Ooh, yeah, you're
So
the
the
front
door
doors
is
didn't
giving
give
the
in.
instructions.
No, yeah.
If you change the that gave just to with, I think it becomes clearer. Maybe there's even a better edit. But I mean, we get it. The flyers have information.
Yeah.
But so a strange construction. Actually, why don't you just cut on every front door that gave? So
You
I went to these
yeah.
neighborhoods and hung flyers with instructions on where and how to register to vote. I think just including the front doors in this is what hurts it.
Yeah. Well, also along with my contact information if they needed assistance. Just cut if they need assistance. We get it. You're
Goes without
giving them
saying.
your contact
Yeah.
information yeah, so they can get help. Listen to this too. After receiving many phone calls from people needing transportation to registration centers, I created a ride system. Since I wasn't always available to drive, I delegated many of the trips to my cousin X, who was more local. This makes it
Mm.
sound like the smallest operation
Hmm.
ever. You
Which is
led yourself and occasionally your cousin?
it's okay, except for the overselling in the beginning, right? If you cut
Exactly.
the
That's the
overselling in
problem.
the beginning, then we're like, oh wow, okay, so first you're just hanging these flyers, then you get all these calls, you realize that there's a need, you go recruit your cousin, but I thought you had been leading a team of 20
Exactly.
or
So
100.
that's the problem. You're setting the bar really high and then you're not meeting it. You also said I created a ride system. You don't need a ride system when the only drivers are you and your cousin.
Yeah. I mean, not only that, but even if you did create a ride system, you're probably reinventing the wheel because
Yeah.
every election in my entire life, I've gotten information about ride systems and all this stuff, the door knocking, the phone banking. the ride systems. These are all wheels that have previously been rolling,
Mm-hmm.
and you probably could have like leveraged those things instead of trying to do it all yourself.
I'm gonna ring the gong, if not now, at the next sentence. Delegation became a crucial factor in the movement's success,
What?
especially as I was often an hour away attending classes and working
So
at the
far, it's just you and
university.
your cousin. Yeah, I would
Like
agree
this
that the
makes it
gong
seem
it it's possible that there's more here than we're seeing. It's possible that the
Yeah,
mistake here is that James went back to the beginning of the campaign and it was just him and his
when there was
cousin.
nobody. Yeah.
But the way he
Yeah.
delivers it is the way this got delivered, it just seems so low. It seems so low rent. And like
Hmm.
you're trying to claim a lot of credit.
How is it possible? Like right now, this is what I'm thinking, James, and I apologize, but I this is what I would be thinking if I was at a law school. How on earth did you and your cousin contribute significantly to generating the largest voter turnout among young adults in the history of some city? And I am quoting you verbatim.
Well, it's pretty easy if there's 75 people in the town, which
No,
I just think that's a natural inference that could be made here based on the information we have so far, right?
yeah.
James went literally door to door, direct service,
Mm-hmm.
answering the phone himself, giving people rides to the polls by himself, and then recruiting his cousin. Well,
Mm-hmm.
how many rides could you possibly give? So
Yeah.
the problem here is that it does look like it gets bigger. He I hate this line and I also love it. So I'm going to give like two sides to one sentence here.
Hmm.
He says, to capitalize on my growing name recognition, I posted additional flyers across the city, which I'm like, okay, your growing name recognition. You're like, I was getting so famous. So I kept posting flyers. The part I
Myself.
love though is this time with a QR code to join my WhatsApp group. And I do think that we needed to hear more about that part. Like,
Yeah.
how many people ended up in this WhatsApp group?
Yeah.
Because if it was 1,000 people and you did an amazing voter turnout in this city of 200,000,
Mm-hmm.
then now you got something.
Yeah.
But if you ended up with 7 people in your WhatsApp group, then it's just all, because of your town of, I said
At that
75
point,
first. Maybe it's a town of
I
like
couldn't manage the
750.
group and I gave it to my cousin. Yeah.
It's just, I think it's just the organization of like, there need to be some more facts here
Yeah.
that make it seem like bigger. So yeah, oh, there it is. It's actually down there. The WhatsApp group ends up 600 members. He
Okay.
ends up posting videos on Facebook that are getting 2,000 views per video. Maybe that's good.
Yeah.
I think that there is something here, but I agree with Ben that we have to ring the gong there because the whole purpose of this exercise is just put yourself in the admission office. You got a huge stack of these applications to read. Let's say James is on the bubble, LSAT and GPA wise, or James has good LSAT, good GPA, preferably, and they're trying to figure out, okay, is James going to be the one that we're going to give this great scholarship to?
Yeah.
And they're reading your personal statement and their phone rings or someone walks into their office. The ice cream truck goes by outside and it's like, free
Oh,
donut. They get an email comes in about the free donuts in the
there's
coffee
still
in the
3
break
donuts
room.
left in the conference room. Oh,
Right.
what?
So so the admissions officer is out of their chair, or maybe they're on the phone or they got somebody in their face or whatever.
Yeah.
And if they only got through the part where James is recruiting his cousin, so it's him and his cousin doing the driving, and that's almost a full page through your personal statement.
Yeah.
I could just see them easily going like, oh yeah, okay, I read James's personal statement. Yeah, he's probably not the right one.
Yeah.
When they come back to their desk, it's just going to be very tempting to be like, okay, what else we got? We got James and his cousin doing voter turnout, and he thinks it's a big, huge thing.
But
And I'm
I'm
skeptical.
struggling.
Okay,
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, see, the problem with all of this, James, is that you've probably done something that is worthy of talking about and could be persuasive, but you're overselling it. You keep setting the bar super
Right.
high. Look at this sentence right here. Despite this shortcoming, I stayed consistent in my efforts. Ultimately, after 3 weeks of persistence, I gained traction on our Facebook page.
Mm.
So what you're doing is you're saying like, wow, this is really challenge. And I persisted for 3 weeks. I think James is writing that thinking like, wow, look at that persistence I showed. Most people are going to say 3 weeks. That is a blip. There's no time that passes
Yeah.
over 3 weeks.
It's like, oh,
So,
that reminds me of my diet in 2024 and the diet in 2023 and the diet in 2022. Like,
which
boy,
amounted to nothing.
persisting for 3 weeks is not maybe as much as you think. Yeah.
So just say 3 weeks. Keep it factual. Stop selling. Stop saying after 3 weeks
Yeah.
of persistence. Just say after 3 weeks, I started to gain traction on Facebook page,
Yeah.
which averaged over 2,000 views. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, James. We got 4 more, Ben. We're moving on to Benny. It says, Benny, if this is first and last name at the top, then personal statement,
No, yeah, no.
then a big block of text. Boy, wow, that's a
Small
very
font.
small font,
Yeah.
and it's double spaced, but it's also just it comes off as just a wall of text. I think we got to insist on indent paragraphs.
First paragraph. Yep. Mm-hmm. So you're putting space between paragraphs and you're indenting them. You're trying to make this as easy, and short paragraphs. You want to make it easy for the reader to pick up the page and keep reading. When you see this wall of text, you immediately want to say no thanks and set it down.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, think how nice it is to read something where the first paragraph is like 2 sentences.
Yeah, it just pulls you right in.
It's just a little appetizer.
Yeah.
It's an amuse bouche, if you will.
Just a little. I don't know what that is, but yeah, it's an amuse bouche.
I hate restaurants that have shit like that, but it's the little fancy. Oh, the chef wanted you to just have this little bite, just one little. It's just a little bite,
Yep.
and it gets you going. And instead, this is like you walk into the restaurant and they just slam the entree down.
Yeah.
Which actually I would prefer.
This is Cheesecake Factory. That's what
terrible,
it is.
It's a terrible analogy, but still, it's just much easier for it to go down if you give me a small bite. Okay. It was Super Bowl Sunday. It
was.
So it, referring to the day, it was Super Bowl Sunday. There's probably other ways you can do that. I like that it's a short sentence.
Yeah.
But it was Super Bowl Sunday. Okay. Teenagers from across the neighborhood gathered at Our Boys, a drop-in center for at-risk youth, for the annual party. The atmosphere upstairs was electric. And I gotta just point out here that you can make your writing so much more vibrant if you just try to eliminate forms of the verb to be. So is, was, were are kind of major culprits.
Yeah.
But here we got 2 out of the first 3 sentences using the verb of was. It was Super Bowl Sunday and the atmosphere was electric.
Yeah.
It's telling, not showing.
Yep.
And it's a missed opportunity to use a vibrant verb. Like you could say the atmosphere crackled.
Mm-hmm.
And instead you say it was electric.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? You could say that the place hummed. You could say there's 1,000 different ways you could do this.
Yeah.
It's the laziness of because it's just telling. When you do that, the atmosphere, what was the atmosphere like? Oh, it was electric. Well, what the fuck do you mean by it was electric? Right? Like you're not actually describing it.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. With big screens, powerful speakers, and endless food. While the celebration roared on. See, that's better there. Now the celebration is roaring, which is great. Oh, unfortunately, Benny says, I was downstairs in a quiet room, sitting with a boy whose world was falling apart. So now we've got the was as the verb choice there. 3 out of the first 4 sentences.
Okay.
I mean, you could at least say I sat downstairs.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
huddled downstairs.
Yep.
I
Chatted.
conferred. I
Consoled.
chatted. I did anything. Yeah. Other
Yeah.
than was. I was. Okay.
And you could put a
Sam. Oh,
paragraph break here, by the way, Benny. How do you
perfect. Yeah.
make a first paragraph shorter? You set the stage. Now paragraph break. And the next paragraph can tell the story.
They're free.
Yeah.
Paragraph breaks are free.
They're free. They cost you nothing.
It's the one thing you can't fuck up. It's like drinking a glass of water. It's like, yeah, good idea. That's a good choice. I don't care what the context is. That's a great choice. Drink a glass of water. Yeah. For pretty much all context, that's going to be a good idea. And so the paragraph break here, yeah, absolutely. Just throw them in there. Just be liberal. Sprinkle them in. And by the way, every 6th grader knows this because they're trying to stretch their essays out as long as possible. So just throw in more. Go ahead and do that because you need to you need to almost fill up the 2 pages, right? Page and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need to fill it up necessarily with so many words. You don't need the super tiny font, right? If you ever find yourself going, oh wow, I've got 3 pages here and it needs to be 2. Let me make the font smaller.
No, you need to cut content.
Incorrect.
Well, there's 2 things. You need to cut content. And what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of cutting has nothing to do with content. It has everything to do with wordiness.
Yeah.
And the shorter version of that sentence is not only has all the content you originally had, it often has the opportunity to have more in fewer words. So it just jumps out of the page and sends the message clearly and concisely.
It's like cutting items on your resume when you've been the president of the United States.
Yeah.
You don't need to show me the rest of it.
Yeah.
I'd have a 1-page resume. I'd have a 1-line resume.
Yep.
Like, there it is.
U.S. president. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Okay. So we're not going to combine paragraphs together to make our statement shorter, nor are we going to shrink the font. We're going to, nor are we going to not indent paragraphs. We're going or like try to get away with 1.5 point spacing instead of 2-point spacing. Let's go ahead and cut words without changing the meaning. It's not that hard. Okay. Benny continues. Sam, a teenager battling depression and ADHD, sat across from me in tears. He had just been fired from the local post office, the first job he had ever managed to hold.
Wait, did he hold it?
Well, he also, there's an implied job as the object there, right? Because the post office is not the job. It's just kind of a weird sentence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Where?
Convinced.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, right. I mean, just call it his first job. Or the first job but tell me more, the first job he had ever held for more than 3 months or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Convinced his dismissal was tied to his disability, Sam was overcome by despair and spoke of ending his life. Oh, God.
Jeez.
In that moment, I was his lifeline. Cut that sentence.
Yeah. It's overselling.
Oh, my God. You're sitting there. There's a Super Bowl party going on. And you're in the quiet room talking to this poor kid who just told you that he wants to kill himself. You don't need to then brag about, oh, I was his lifeline. No shit.
Yeah.
The telling makes it worse, right? You already showed us. You could just omit the telling entirely. I calmed him, helped him regulate his emotions, and assured him he was not alone. But as I told him everything would be okay, a hollow question echoed inside of me. Was it true? Beyond our sessions, he had no support system and certainly lacked the resources to challenge a wrongful termination. He had put his faith in me, and I had nothing to offer but words. I hate where this is about to go.
I'm also confused because when Benny says beyond our sessions, my immediate thought is, are you a therapist? Are
Right.
you certified? This
Right.
one-on-one meeting
Probably.
is odd unless you have those credentials. So
Calling it sessions, you better be a therapist or a social worker or something
we
who
need that
has sessions with
context.
people. Otherwise, it's just a
Weird.
conversation that you're
Yeah.
having with. Yeah, we do need to know who you are here. And it's just, it's this now is going to suck. And I think we probably are going to ring the gong, unfortunately, Benny, because the next paragraph starts with, this feeling of powerlessness became a familiar echo.
So you're not winning.
Nope. When an immigrant client, and then there's a name, faced escalating abuse from her husband, I could guide her through the emotional turmoil of leaving him. But when she tearfully asked how to protect her custody rights during a divorce, I hit a wall. All I could do was apologize and refer her to legal counsel I knew she couldn't afford. After we finished our session, I never heard from her again. I'm still haunted by the silence she left behind.
Okay, so you want to go to law school so you can provide people with legal services that you can't provide them with now.
Right. And we now find out that Benny is a therapist. Finally, in the last line of the long second paragraph, we get, as a therapist, I could heal wounds, but I couldn't prevent them.
This is, this is the same problem as the previous person who was talking about how, what was it? They were shitting on entrepreneurship. This Benny's like,
Yep.
hey, therapy sucks. It can't solve problems that I want to solve. There's no need to shit on therapy. In fact, I would argue that therapy is probably more helpful than legal work in a lot of
No, that's what
cases.
I was going to say too. Like, you're not going to fix these problems as a lawyer either. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what you think lawyers do, but like, I don't see lawyers saving people from suicides or,
No, if
you
anything, they're
know,
adding stress. Yeah.
well, like
For one
wrongful
party, at least.
termination lawsuits, you
Yeah.
already got wrongfully terminated. That's
Mm.
not a win for that poor kid who wants to kill himself from losing the job. You're going to go now drag him through litigation about his
Well,
wrongful termination. It's not going to be a happy story.
yeah. Yeah. Here's another thing I just noticed, and this is a less serious thing, but it's a lot easier to fix. This is fully justified. Don't do that. It needs to be
Yeah,
left justified. Everybody. Yep.
that contributes to the wall of text
It
aspect.
does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Benny. Like, this does suck. I would not want to be a therapist either. But yeah, I mean, you're in these cases, at least you're like doing direct service for these people and hearing them. As
Mm-hmm.
a lawyer, you're gonna be like hearing this person and then going, "Yeah, no, I can't help you. No, I can't. I don't do cases like that. I don't know."
I don't know where
Anyway,
this is going either. Yeah.
during
Okay.
this period, my time was split. During this period, so that's your time at Our Boys, I guess. Wait, no,
Mm.
but maybe it's not Our Boys. It's oddly named if it's just for all at-risk youth. Are you still at Our Boys when you have this woman is your
Oh,
she's
yeah.
facing abuse from her husband? Are we still at Our, I guess we could be at Our Boys. It's just kind of oddly named.
Yeah.
Um anyway, during this period my time was split. At night, I was a social worker counseling people in crisis. You're a therapist and a social worker? Okay. By day, I was a scholar, immersed in a world where ancient religious principles were codified into law. Having married into the family of a rabbi, you're just going to name the rabbi and then, okay. Having married into the family of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, one of the great American halalic authorities of the last century, I had dedicated myself to studying and publishing hundreds of pages of his legal rulings. I spent my mornings tracing the rigorous logic he used to apply an ancient code of law to complex modern dilemmas, admiring how clear reasoning could provide order and justice. So is that a job? Or is that
Is, is he in school? Religious school?
Is order and justice actually being provided here? Because I thought that you were just publishing. Oh, okay. If you're publishing these legal rulings that happened um, in the temple or whatever.
Studying and publishing. I don't even know
Hmm.
what, I don't know what's going on. To
Are
whom?
these like,
Who are you publishing them to? Is it public?
and are these decisions from 100 years ago, or are they current decisions with current? Why do you have to
It says
publish
complex
them?
modern dilemmas? I don't know.
Hmm. The intellectual foundation contrasted starkly with the helplessness I felt in my practice. I saw how a well structured legal argument could protect a community, yet I felt paralyzed and unable to structure one for Sam. Sam was the kid who lost his job at the post office.
Yeah.
I understood the intellectual architecture, which is italicized, of a just
Italicized.
system,
Yeah.
but I lacked the tools to build a shelter, italicized, for Katasia, who was the woman who was abused by her husband. Wait, I understood the intellectual architecture of a just system. I lacked the tools to build a shelter. It's like, it seems to me that Benny was like going for a metaphor, but wasn't sure you'd get it.
Yeah.
So decided to be really heavy handed about the metaphor by putting
And
architecture in
italicized.
italics and then shelter in italics.
Yeah. So Benny's saying that he understands the theory of how things should work, but finds it difficult to put that theory into practice. Yeah. I mean, that's life. Things sound great on paper.
And that's as a
I'm
therapist.
done.
So it's, yeah, because I agree,
Yeah.
because Benny's just dunking on therapy, right? It's like Benny's on the one hand trying to say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I was a lifeline for this kid. I did everything. I helped these people, but I actually couldn't help them, and it sucked, and that's why I now want to go
Mm-hmm.
on to do other stuff." Interesting. In the next paragraph, we get into academic work and doctoral research,
Mm-hmm.
which maybe I would just talk more. I think you got to pick one of these lanes. I think you're trying to do too much here with the like.
Mm.
Doesn't it feel? It just kind of feels overwrought to me.
Yeah. Yep. And then it goes
Okay.
back to my work as a social worker. So, anyways, I don't know.
It's possible that this is the type of thing that just absolutely knocks it out of the park at literally Yale,
Yeah,
because
maybe.
it's like so highfalutin, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not even pretending that I'm going to go be a real lawyer. I'm just like I'm I'm like clearly an academic,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing the right type of academic ass kissing. This could be like a very distinct academic style that you and I are not really familiar with.
Yeah.
Um,
I would still cut the telling. Geez, I'd love to hear just more about what you actually did in your academics, as opposed to my immersion in Jewish law taught me how a just legal system should function. And
I
my
agree.
doctoral studies gave me the tools to deconstruct complexity. Really? Just show me you doing that.
Yeah, you're publishing these decisions and then you're doing doctoral research, which eh, I would probably pick one of those and I would just go more into detail about what it actually entailed. Like cut the whole
Yeah.
thing, like the sob stories about Sam and Kadazia. I mean, it's like, yeah, those are sad. Sure, but again, plight of the downtrodden, right? There's no shortage of people who are getting their ass kicked in the world. But you telling me about those people doesn't make me any more convinced that you're going to be the one to actually help them.
What do you
I'd
think
rather
about
hear about the wins. Go ahead.
what do you think of this sentence? I'm not seeking to change careers, but to incorporate law becoming fully effective in the role I already have.
Of what role?
As a
Doing what?
therapist or as an academic? And then the next sentence, I want to be the advocate Sam deserved and the guide that Quadacia was seeking. In family law, I can bring my empathy for families in crisis, my rigorous training in legal analysis, and my ability to bring clarity to complex situations.
That's clearly a career change, though.
Yeah, are you going to do legal work, or are you going to be a therapist who went to law school and therefore is 1% more familiar with the law than they were before?
It's not going to help you be a better therapist. I don't think. I can't imagine.
And
You
unless
imagine
you
being like
have a
some
license.
psychologist or something
Yeah.
telling you like, "Oh, well, legally speaking." Like, well, I wasn't looking to
Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Benny. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody. Don't be too mad. You guys sent these in. You wanted our real take. We're giving you our real take. Next one.
Okay. Yeah, this next one is from Lily. I'll read it. In my first semester as president of my sorority, I oversaw 60 women, raised over $5,000 for breast cancer education and awareness, and represented my chapter at several national conferences where I reported our progress before peers and alumni.
Okay.
This semester, I am implementing new events to raise money for breast cancer while getting my chapter involved on campus.
Uh, Caps there on breast cancer,
Yeah.
which that's not a proper noun that needs to be capitalized. If it's some breast cancer organization, then okay. I think you I think you also need to rethink whether you should have caps on breast cancer education and awareness in the first sentence, because unless that is an organization that you're naming.
Yeah, it could be because the first time it was capitalized, but yeah. What is that even? Is that an organization? Breast Cancer Education and Awareness? It must be an organization. It sound because it's all capitalized.
I'm guessing that it's not. I'm guessing that it's just purely Trump case,
Trump case.
where we're just choosing to capitalize things because, oh, that seems important, so I'll put caps.
Yeah. What do you think about the topic? President of my sorority.
Well, it makes who are we on now? I'm sorry, Lily.
Lily.
It makes Lily seem really young, but Lily might be really young.
Yeah.
And so I have to say, yeah, that's fine. I mean, there's plenty of people who successfully go to law school as a K through JD.
Yep.
Um, so I can't, like, I just would want to encourage Lily to be sure that this is your best achievement. Like if I find out later that you have been working for 5 years, I'm not going to be very happy about you telling me this story about being president of your sorority.
Yep. Okay. Next paragraph. I entered Zeta Tau Alpha in fall of 2022 and immediately stepped into leadership with 2 program council positions.
See, that looks like Trump case to me.
It does. It's also going backwards. Why? We already know you're president, so now why are we going back to your growth to get there?
Yeah. I also have to go back to the previous paragraph. When
Mm.
you say I am implementing new events to raise money for breast cancer, that I know it's not the case, but that reads literally as if you're on the side of breast cancer, which you're not. So you can raise money for breast
Breast
cancer
cancer
awareness,
research? Yeah, or
or you can
yeah.
raise money for breast cancer research.
Yeah.
You can raise money for breast cancer, a lot of things, but I don't think you're raising money for breast cancer. It's just a little
Hey,
weird
there
type
needs
of
to be an
construction.
advocate for every side, Nate.
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, yeah, I suppose like if you're a tobacco company,
Yeah.
you're on the side of breast cancer. But
Okay.
okay,
Yeah,
anyway,
and
so
I would love to see that. Like, okay, why are we going back in time? She continues. I acted as the Alumni? I don't know that word.
I don't know. It could be like the female version of alumni or something.
Sure. Okay. I acted as the alumni relations chair and the storage unit chair. Okay, that's not super impressive. I was,
No, that's really not impressive. And it's probably on your resume anyway as a bullet point. I would encourage you to pick one thing and go more into it. Like, why don't you just tell me about what you did as president?
yeah. And raising
If,
money for breast cancer research. That's okay, great.
or
That's,
how about the overseeing 60 women? I mean, what's
yeah.
that look like? The
Yeah.
the actual leadership of people is really important in the world. But okay, alumni relations and storage unit chair.
Got it. I was responsible for all alumni communications, including inviting them to our fundraising and philanthropic efforts, like other events like Founders Day and assisting with donations. Okay, that is inviting to that's not parallel. This isn't parallel. You have a verb at the end of your last item and then you don't. Yeah, anyways.
I mean, it's just too long, right? The easiest way to fix your writing, if you are worried about having grammar mistakes, just use shorter sentences. It's
Also,
harder to fuck it up.
yeah, this has a to be verb, right? I was responsible. Just say what you did.
Right,
I communicated
right.
with all alumni,
I
or
invited
I
them.
invited them. Just jump right to what you did. I invited them to our
I
fundraising.
assisted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also managed and organized the chapter's storage unit space, logging items in and out and keeping track of who visited, when, and what they borrowed. I wouldn't talk about that.
I'd probably cut the storage unit chair bit. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think that that's unless it's a much bigger deal, if it's like a huge warehouse or something and you've got all, yeah, I don't know, 60 different
Expensive
women.
equipment.
I
Yeah.
could see how that could be important at a college, people like don't have housing during the summer and so they have to put shit in the storage unit potentially and she's like managing the demand for the space.
Sure, if it's massive, yeah.
But okay, go ahead.
I still think we've gone backwards. So we're not
Yep.
talking about you as president. We're talking about you as storage unit
Yeah.
chair. By the end of my first year, I was appointed recording secretary. Okay, again, still a lower position than you are now. I
Also,
managed
never talk about getting a job. Talk about what you did at the job.
as the job.
We don't
Yeah.
want to hear about interviews. We don't want to hear about applications. We don't want to hear about getting appointed to a thing. We
Hmm.
want to hear what you did.
Yep. I managed attendance, fines, service records, and minutes while continuing my other roles. Okay, that goes without saying. That summer, I was selected by the current president to attend. Again, I was selected. I was appointed. Cut that.
That's by the then current president, by the way, not the current president, because you're the current president, I think.
Yeah, the then current president to attend a national leadership conference in Indianapolis. People like to say when they were appointed or selected because it shows that to them it was this moment, right? Someone chose me. But just talk about when you were chosen, and we know that you were chosen. Here, I first learned the scope of what ZTA, I don't know how they say that, could accomplish through philanthropy. Since then, the international office and my advisors have they've sent you,
Yeah.
that's the same thing,
Yep.
to 4 national conventions where I have spoken in front of hundreds of women and been trained on various leadership skills and positions. Hey, I like you speaking in front of a lot of people. That's not easy for many folk.
Yeah, I
So
agree. Trained
that's a
on
win.
various leadership skills and positions is really vague.
And well, it's also just receiving training. Anyone can receive training.
Right.
We want to see you executing that training.
Talk more about the speaking in front of hundreds of women. That's a thing that I was like so scared when I was might have been second semester of 1L when we had to do moot court. I think that's what it was. And there was like a public speaking component and I was just terrified.
Mm.
Probably because I was never prepared for the stuff that we were supposed to
Mm.
do,
Sure, sure.
but
What
I was
case did you
terrified of
say?
it. I hated it. I hated it so much. The fact
Yeah.
that you can confidently get up there and speak to an audience of hundreds surprisingly means a lot about your success, your future success as a
Mm-hmm.
law student at least.
Yeah.
So I would, yeah, emphasize that a lot. Not emphasize the international office and your advisors sending you to the convention.
Yep.
Not advertise being trained. Just talk more about the what like speaking. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Uh, okay. From there, my roles expanded. As first vice president, I directed a program council. Now it's lowercase, by the way, of 15 officers.
Okay, we got to ring a gong there. You can't go with the Trump case on program council earlier and then go with the lowercase program council later. It's the
Yep.
combination of I would rather hear about bigger wins. I don't need to hear a rehashing of everything that you did in your entire career
Yeah.
at the sorority.
Yep.
I mean, at best, this is a part-time gig that you did during college,
Mm-hmm.
and so if the like writing was perfect, then sure. But the writing also isn't perfect. And so I believe that the combination of those two merits the gong.
Yep. Thanks, Lily.
Thank you, Lily. Next one is
Brianna.
Brianna.
Mm-hmm.
Two more. Brianna says, as a first generation college student, I grew up navigating unfamiliar systems with limited guidance. The concept of higher education was abstract, M dash, something I was told could change my life, yet few around me could show me how. Because you were a first generation college student. That's an awful lot of words in the first two sentences, isn't it? To just get across I was a first generation college student.
Yeah. Just cut that second sentence. Huh?
Yeah,
You grew up
I agree.
navigating unfamiliar systems with limited guidance. Okay.
We
Or
got it.
even with limited guidance. I grew up navigating unfamiliar systems. Yeah, even that's vague and abstract.
I'm happy with as a first generation college student. If you want to make that your brand right off the bat, I'm happy with that to lead
Yeah.
off the statement. But you don't need two sentences telling me what that's like. I myself am a first generation college student. It's extremely common. The number of people going to college has increased steadily over the past decades. So many people are first generation college students.
Imagine cutting the end of the first sentence, the entirety of the second sentence, and starting right with the third. As a first generation college student, comma, I learned
Uh,
early on to advocate for myself.
Ask difficult questions and persist even when the path forward felt uncertain. These instincts, M dash, curiosity, determination, and resilience, M dash, now serve me daily as a legal assistant at an estate planning firm where I work directly with attorneys and clients to ensure final wishes are honored with precision and care.
Just start there. Just start as a legal assistant. I might even cut the first
Yeah.
gen college thing. There was nothing that was said here except for telling.
Throw it in later,
Yeah.
but I'm much more interested in what you do as a legal assistant at an estate planning firm.
Yeah. 100%.
And if you later give me this background nugget that you were a first generation college student, I'll be like, oh, wow.
Yep. Well, because everything up to this point has been telling. Oh, I learned a lot. I did this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the only thing that wasn't telling was actually I'm a first generation college student. Okay, that's a fact.
The writing needs some help.
Mm,
Um, you're using too many M dashes, and you're also, this sentence is really long. These
yeah.
instincts, curiosity, determination, and resilience now serve me daily as a
Oh,
legal
okay.
assistant at an estate planning firm where I work directly with attorneys and clients to ensure final wishes are honored with precision and care. Pick precision or care. Pick one of
Yep.
those. I
Yep.
think if you're doing it with precision, you're showing care.
Mm-hmm.
Working directly with attorneys and clients, I mean, kind of obvious. I know you're doing that. I don't know that you need to list both of them.
Yep.
Curiosity, determination, and resilience is pure telling.
This is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier, where people can cut a lot of words. They say the exact same thing and they haven't lost any details. So, for example, as a legal assistant at an estate planning firm, I ensure final wishes are honored with precision. Okay.
Totally. Totally. That's a great edit
Obviously, you
there.
work with it. Yeah.
I mean, I hope that Brianna will take that edit and like use it verbatim, because that's just a perfect example of how this, you can tell this exact same story in just such a more powerful and direct way.
Mm-hmm.
Brianna continues, my experiences have not only deepened my understanding of the law, but also affirmed my commitment to becoming an attorney who serves others with both skill and empathy.
Cut.
Just cut the
It's
whole sentence.
telling, and we know you want to be an attorney. I don't need to know that you're committed to that. You're applying to law school.
Yeah. And it is just pure telling, right? I'm gonna do it with skill and empathy.
Great.
Okay, but tell me more about what you actually do at the estate planning firm,
Yeah.
because then I can make all these inferences myself. Instead of you forcing these conclusions on me, I would be like, oh wow, look at all the shit she did at the estate planning firm.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be
Hope
a
she comes
knockout
here.
lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. My professional journey has shown me the many dimensions of the law, M dash, from the deeply personal to the broadly political.
Purely telling and empty. Okay. Huh?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
In estate planning, I have supported clients during some of the most vulnerable moments of their lives. Okay,
Obvious. Next.
but let's hear about one of them. Like, at least you're kind of sniffing around the edges of something that I would like to hear about.
Yep.
As
But
a
you could
legal
just say
assistant,
it. You could just talk about somebody. You could say,
I
hey,
agree.
yeah.
As a legal assistant, I prepare and organize estate planning documents once they are executed, allowing my firm's clients to efficiently transfer their assets into their trust, with trust in Trump case, and it doesn't need to be.
No, it doesn't. It's just, it's not a
A
special
trust is
noun.
just a thing. It's not a proper noun. I mean, if it's their named trust, then it needs a capital T. But in
Yep.
this context, it does not. Additionally, I assist attorneys in drafting letters. Additionally, cut that.
Mm-hmm.
I assist attorneys in drafting letters, file organization. Oh my God, client communications,
Etc.
etc. Surely that's the gong.
Yeah, well, it's also not parallel. Drafting letters, organizing files, and
Right,
communicating with clients, period.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, or change it
Yep.
to letter drafting. I assist attorneys in letter drafting, file
Yep.
organization, and client communications. Period. But the etc. is just like so. We assumed that there were other duties at the job. We want
After
you to
saying
tell us about the most
additionally.
important ones. You don't need the, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
And
Yep.
thank you for playing. Also notice that this goes well into 3 pages,
Ooh.
which should have been an instant deny.
Yeah, we didn't look. Oops.
Okay. Last one. Here's Jacob.
Okay. As a regulatory and compliance professional within asset wealth management, I understand the ever evolving legal and operational landscape within managing trillions in private investor funds.
Within?
With? Yeah. But also, why are
Involved
you?
in, maybe, but
It's,
within?
yeah.
It's an ever evolving legal and operational landscape within
Within.
managing. You mean within the like world of wealth management, but you make it within managing trillions in private investor.
But I hate the message of the sentence, which is your sentence isn't telling me what you're doing, it's telling me what you understand. So you're claiming knowledge, okay? So I just have to believe you. Second, you're claiming that you understand ever evolving legal and operational the ever evolving legal and operational landscape. Like, you're claiming that you're legal ready. You're like, I know the law. No, you don't. You're applying to law school.
Yeah. I mean, you're like trying to keep your firm from getting screwed by the wealth managers who are basically, like stockbroker. They used to be stockbrokers. Now they are wealth managers. And some of my best friends are exactly those guys. And they all bitch constantly about regulatory and compliance. So I know exactly I know what this is about. These are like salespeople who want to do deals, and you're coming in going, wait a second, guys, we got to dot some I's and cross some T's to make sure that we're not going to get later sued. But it is for sure an overly broad claim to say that you think you understand this ever evolving legal and operational landscape, because surely
Yeah.
it's much bigger than what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, I don't think it's even possible for someone to really understand. It's ever evolving for a reason. Like the answer
Yeah.
is I don't know, right? You'll
Yeah.
learn this
There's a
when you
lot
get
to
to law
learn.
school, that the answer
Yeah.
is I don't know. I'm sorry, professor, I don't know. It's unclear. This is an unclear area. Here's the argument on this side, here's the argument on that side. But to say you understand it is necessarily naive.
Check out this next sentence.
I am, however, appalled at how archaic the financial industry's internal systems are for administrators and clients alike. So
Get in a mental state. I don't, okay, you're upset. Who cares?
not only that, but you're bitching about your own job instead of like,
Yep.
here's these wins, here's the successes. You're just coming at it from this angle of complaining about things. The law schools they don't want complainers. They want people who win.
No.
They want
I won.
successes.
I won at what I'm doing now, and I want to win in law school. But
Right.
people think they need to tell the message, and I understand why this is happening, because people hate their job and they're looking for some alternative. And so then they think, oh, I want to go to law school. And now they want to tell that story. But it does not need to be, I hate what I'm doing now, therefore I want to do well in law school. For all
Yeah.
we know, you're going to come here and hate it too. Maybe hate it worse.
The odds are really good that you hate your current job or you hate whatever your undergrad major was. You're looking for a change. The odds are really good that you're looking for a change. You don't need to tell the truth about that though. You know, you're you're supposed to be presenting yourself as a winner.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to something that we said early, right? Which was just imagine yourself on a first date
Yeah.
complaining about your ex. That's not
Yeah.
what you should be doing.
Nope.
Okay, data is scattered all over, reporting guidelines vary widely, and investment managers struggle to maintain a balance between compliance requirements and lagging technological applications. How is that something that you balance? I mean, you're trying to do the compliance requirements. Also, you have a terrible computer.
Oh, maybe it's hard to comply with shitty technology.
Sure, but I don't, that balance is a weird choice there because it's not like you're balancing one against the other. You're struggling to do one because you're being impeded by the other. I don't know. Anyway,
Well, maybe you decide, maybe you're balancing like what you're going to comply with. You're like, yeah.
because you're just going to actually not comply because the software is so bad. Yeah,
You're
I
like, I
get that.
can't. Yeah.
I get that. Well, I mean, what's really going on is these dudes are like using the software as an
An
excuse for not
excuse.
complying.
Sure.
Yes. They don't want to comply and they are using the software as the reason why they can't.
Yeah.
These long-standing inefficiencies are not only a nuisance to operations, but they have a detrimental effect on the security of investor assets and the ability of regulators to properly ensure compliance. It is apparent that significant upheaval of the status quo is needed in this industry, and I aim to be the catalyst for such advancement.
Dong. We're done.
Ben's out. It is a wild claim. It is an extremely broad claim.
Yeah.
And similar to the earlier statement that was bitching about the entrenched and inefficient administrators,
Yeah.
who are like basically the people in power.
Hmm.
Here, Jacob is doing the same thing, right? Jacob's like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to like really rattle up the financial industry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to really I'm going to come in and cause problems for these people. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it that Jacob thinks he's going to go like fix these systems,
Yep.
but it's a little like, well, there's a lot of hubris in thinking that you're the one who's going to fix it.
Yeah.
It's just such a bold, oh, it's just such a bold claim for your actual position in life.
I mean, Jacob, go do it. That's fine. Make that your goal. But announcing that from the rooftops it's going to fall flat. People want to see you do something and then believe that you will continue to do that.
Yeah, sure. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, Jacob, by all means. But, later Jacob gets into like, a Juris Doctor will not only provide me with a strong foundation to understand these regulations, but it'll allow me to properly implement them and anticipate their evolution in the future. It's like people who think that just going to law school and getting a JD is going to actually equip them
Yeah.
to do anything.
You aren't going to know shit about these regulations from law school.
Uh-uh. All you're
You're
going
going
to
to learn
know
to
is,
play the law school game.
right, you're going to learn that the answer is I don't know. You're going to learn that the answer is, well, how much money is there at stake here? Who are the entrenched interests? How much money are they going to pay to try to get this actually done? And there's just going to be, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. It's like, Jacob, the reason why the system is fucked up is not because they didn't think of fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
The reason the system is fucked up is because the powers that be have decided that they kind of like it that way.
Yeah.
It's like as if you're going to come in and fix the tax code or something. You think nobody ever thought of tax reform? Of course they thought of tax reform. The truth is, the exact opposite of that is what they actually want, because they want to make it this arcane system where the rich keep getting richer.
Yeah.
So I admire the ambition. uh,
Not the time to talk about it, right?
yeah, I mean, there is like good stuff here, In my current occupation, I prepare large complex filings such as Form PF, OPRA, AIFMD, and ADV for various hedge fund and private equity managers. That stuff's probably on your resume. You could probably write an entire personal statement talking about all of the good, hard ass work that you do. In your next sentence, you claim that the preparation of these filings requires an understanding of both mathematics and an interpretation of the underlying regulation. Yeah, you're talking about like doing accounting. That's
Yeah.
impressive work. But you should just tell me about that. And then I'll think, oh, yeah, okay, this guy maybe has the chops to go work in big law.
Yeah.
Like this guy could go be a tax lawyer and he'll be a successful tax lawyer. Let them think that, Jacob. Don't come in with this story of like, oh, I'm going to go I'm going to be like this financial reformer.
Yeah.
Because they're going to read that and they're just going to go, yeah, no, you're not. Like, you're just probably you're not. So many people come in with ideas that they think they're going to make these huge systemic changes.
So you remember our previous episode, we were talking about these admissions officers sitting around the table, with those last 3 donuts that they're waiting to eat.
Look what this guy's going to do.
Look at
Right,
this guy. Hey,
gonna...
this is the guy that's going to reform. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, he's going to like fix suicide, and this guy's going to do this, and this guy's going to, I mean, again, it's admirable. And please don't think that I'm like dunking on your actual ambition. I'm just telling you that the way you're presenting yourself here, that's not the story that they really want to hear.
They're not going to believe you. All right.
Right. They'll tell you that they want to hear any story. They'll tell you, oh yeah, that's great. That's perfect. Oh yeah, absolutely. Tell us that. Tell us anything. Because all they want is for you to apply.
Mm-hmm.
But just what they really want is people who are going to actually be successful in law school and beyond. And that passion for systemic change is far more likely to be extinguished by law school than it is to be actually fulfilled by law school. So I'd probably just leave those passions out of it and instead focus on what you've actually done.
Focus on what you've done. Focus on your familiarity with an industry that works hard, deals with money. That's the exact type of thing that they want attorneys to be familiar with. Those Big law attorneys go into that kind of work.
They essentially want you to protect these systems, not
Yeah.
fix these systems. I mean, the big law firms working on behalf of Morgan Stanley or whoever else it is that you work for,
Yeah.
they're not there looking for reform. They're there
Yep.
looking to protect established interests.
You're going to work for the Empire, not the Jedi Force.
No, I mean, and ironically, like if you did want to make the systemic change that you're talking about, that's probably the best way to do it is to like
Get on the
go to big
inside.
law, go work
Yeah.
for them, and then, like use sort of, I don't know if you call it soft power or you just sort of from the inside is how you make those connections and then actually get some reform done.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are going to make this reform happen if it's
Hmm.
ever going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I think we're probably done with the Personal Statement Gong Show. There is no new leader. The record is still 34 lines set by listener Sophia. Thank you, everyone, for playing.
Thanks for playing. I did want to say one more thing. Um, I was reminded of I can't remember which school it was, but someone on the team got accepted to some school, and the dean wrote them a handwritten note on their letter of acceptance that said, "Your statement was great," or "it stood out," or something like that. And this team member was excited about that, I think. But I gotta imagine that they are saying that to everybody because
Of
it
course, they're
doesn't
saying that to
fucking matter.
everybody.
It doesn't
Well,
matter if it was the worst statement on the world. They've decided to accept you, and they want you to feel good. Oh, like they actually like me there. So I'm gonna pick them over some other school that's offering me a bigger scholarship.
most law schools get rejected by people they admit at a higher rate than they reject applicants.
Yep.
I'll say that again. Most law schools get rejected by the people they admit at a higher rate than they themselves reject applicants in the first place. So
Hmm.
they might have a 40% admission rate. And then of the 40% that they admit, only 25% of those people actually matriculate at their school.
Yeah.
So they're going to say a lot of shit to try to gaslight you
Hmm.
when they offer you admission.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, it's a handwritten thing.
That was put
Um,
on all other application acceptance letters. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I guess I want to say one more caveat about this. I do think that a lot of this, in very broad strokes, it probably doesn't even matter that much because
Sure.
your LSAT and your GPA are what gets you in the conversation. And as long as if you've got an LSAT and GPA that's above their medians, they want you. And as long as you don't like look like a crazy person on your personal statement, you're probably fine.
Hmm.
So to the extent that, we are going to say at the end of the show, we're going to say, don't pay for law school. And that means that you need to be applying to schools where you have above average numbers so that you can get an above average price or dramatically below average price, I suppose, depending on how you're looking at it. And in those cases, as long as you don't, as long as you don't like look like a crazy person or look really unprepared, like if it was a bunch of typos and stuff, of course that matters. But the story that you tell probably doesn't matter that much unless you're like on the bubble.
Yeah.
And ideally, you're not going to end up taking an offer where you were on the bubble. You're going to end up taking an offer at somewhere where you're going to really excel because you're going to be a star at that school. So maybe it doesn't matter. And also, I want to say to Samuel and Braden, Amanda, Dax, James, Benny, Lily, Brianna, Jacob, we're absolutely not criticizing your experiences or your dreams. We're just encouraging you to consider how you're presenting yourself to people who don't know you at all.
Hmm. Like us.
And right. But, if we're trying to put ourselves in the school's shoes, what they really want is somebody who's going to be successful in law school and successful as an attorney. And the surest mark of who's going to be successful is people who have previously been successful.
Let's end there. That's a good
Okay.
point. Be LSAT famous. Please ask questions or share news with us on our website, thinkinglsat.com, or on our socials at LSAT Demon. If you have questions about the demon, you can email help@lsatdemon.com. You can also check out our other podcast, LSAT Demon Daily. That was episode 523 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. Thanks all y'all for listening. Nice knowing you. Don't pay for law school.